Hey guys, so at this point my intro is just, sorry I've been gone for 3 months, but I'm back. As I've said in my previous video, my upload schedule is like 5 times a year, and hey, I'm uploading this video very soon after my previous video, so there's something. But that's all the more reason for you to subscribe, because you'll never know what I'll post next. Oh god, I'm already plugging my YouTube channel at the beginning of a video. Whatever. Speaking of plugging things, I have another thing that I want to plug. Not that anyone asked me to, but I just want to. A few of my friends started a podcast around a month ago called the Thought Cafe Podcast, and I'm not saying this because I'm biased and that they're my friends, but it is truly so well made, and I really enjoy listening to it. So if any of my 14 subscribers want to listen to it, please check them out if you're interested, and I'll leave a link in the description below. I realized that 3 out of my 14 subscribers are the people who run the podcast. Hi guys. But, 11 people is still something. Now, before I start the actual video, I don't really need to explain a lot about why I'm making this, but I do want to give a few disclaimers. I'm by no means an expert on historical fashion, and while I did do some research, it wasn't super in-depth, and it was just so I could get a similar look to what I was going for. So I just know basic silhouettes and designs, but if you're watching this in hopes of learning about historical fashion, turn off the video and go watch Karolina Zabrowska or something. Speaking of which, if Karolina Zabrowska or Makara Tours, Bring the Banner, any of the iconic fashion YouTubers see this video, 1, I am so sorry, and 2, please don't roast me. I tried, but also, once again, this is a very surface level historical fashion, and it's the first time I'm making historical fashion, so I don't expect myself to be perfect at this, and I definitely want to experiment more with this in the future. So here's how I made a dress that someone from the bourgeoisie could have worn around the time of the French Revolution, around 1790s in France, for those who don't know. And I mainly decided to make something from this time period specifically because I wanted to make something fancy and very clearly historical fashion, and not, for example, a Regency costume that could very easily be transformed into something modern. I wanted to make something that was very distinctively historical, and I couldn't wear it anywhere besides my house. However, I also didn't want to dive into something that like Marie Antoinette could have worn with all of the structure and all of the undergarments that I would also have to figure out, but I might experiment with that later, we'll never know. Or I guess we will know later if I do experiment, but you know what I mean. And now let's begin the actual costume making part of the video. So, clad in my obnoxiously holiday-themed outfit, yes, this was filmed around Thanksgiving, but it takes me a while to get videos together, so... Anyway, I measured some fabric from my waist to my feet to make a floor-length skirt, so I pinned the side seam and I sewed it into one tube. As with most skirts of this format, I folded down the waistline and sewed a channel for elastic. Many of you have seen this process already, so I won't bother explaining more. However, to make the bottom half of the skirt more full, I decided to use some scrap fabric to widen it a bit. To do this, I cut slits in the dress, pinned the triangles into place, and sewed them in.
Okay, so here is the skirt, and I'm wearing it at the moment with this weird poofy thing on the bottom. And this is what it looks like without the poofy thing. I don't know what to call it because it's not a hoop skirt, definitely. I don't even think the French bourgeoisie wore hoop skirts. I don't know what to call it. But this is it. This is the skirt without it. And it's a lot more loose and flowy, which is not what we want. So I think I'm going to wear it with that and just cinch in a bit of the back. And now I'm just going to hem the skirt, and then I'll work on some of the final details later when I get the whole costume together.
Then I hemmed the skirt with a rolled hem, and it was time to make some trim.
And now that I'm done with the main part of the skirt, I'm going to make some trim with this ribbon that I got. And for this, I have this ribbon. I'm going to be following a tutorial by Makara Tours. I will link the full video in the description, even though I'm only following the tutorial for how to make trim. So yeah, I'm going to try and make this, and I'm very excited.
I decided to make a trim where I would fold over one pleat, sew it, and pleat the next section in the same direction. This is how the trim turned out. Next, I pinned the trim to the bottom hem of the skirt and sewed it on.
So I've reached a point where I am kind of stuck. So I have the main part of the skirt done, and I added ruffles to the bottom, which was so fun. Like, making this trim was honestly one of the best experiences ever. I don't know why, but it was really fun. And it also gives some weight to the bottom of the skirt, which is kind of what I was going for. But now I don't know what else to do, because this is definitely not ornate enough for the French bourgeoisie because it only has like one ruffle. But I also don't know what to do with it yet because I don't know what the top is going to look like. So I think I'm going to leave this for now. I'm going to make the top, and then I'm going to see what I can do to this to make it more ornate but still fit with everything else. For one of the parts of the top part, I'm going to try to make a corset. I don't really know how to make a corset, I've never made one before, but I'm just going to try my best, and I'm just going to find a YouTube tutorial, and then whatever tutorial I end up following, I will link in the description.
I didn't really end up using a tutorial, so instead I just searched up a few images of corsets and tried to figure it out from there. I traced an existing tank top and cut out this general shape, which would make the front of the corset. Then I cut out the same shape for the back, but without the triangles at the bottom. For each part of the corset, I cut out 3 pieces to make it really secure, and I pinned all of the edges inside out except for the bottom.
Okay, so I don't want to waste as much of this nicer fabric on the corset part. So to make the corset more structured, I'm going to try using this as lining fabric, and I have been trying to figure out for a really long time what to do with this because it has a really weird like stripe pattern, and it also has sparkles on it, which doesn't really work too well for a corset, but at the same time this won't even be visible because it's on the inside. And also it's the most structured fabric that I have at the moment, so I'm gonna try and use that and see how it goes. Alright, so here are the pieces that I have. This is going to be the front of the corset. I'm going to cut this in half at the very end. Each of these are made of 3 layers. 2 of them are the outer, nicer fabric, this periwinkle or light blue color. And then the inner lining is this kind of ugly blue thing. And this is the back. It's almost identical to the front, except it doesn't have the little flaps right here. So these are the 2 layers together, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stitch this side and stitch this side. And then I'm going to cut open the front, and then I'm going to figure out how to insert zip ties for the boning.
At that point, I decided to take a break from sewing, but I was still recording what I was doing, albeit with very horrible audio and camera angles, so I went on a bike ride. Alright, so today is Thanksgiving, and it's around 4:30, and I'm confused as to why there were so many people in the places that I normally bike at. So I came to this empty parking lot. I think it's closed at the moment anyway. And just look at that sky. Isn't that gorgeous? I don't know what happened to it, but I saw the moon. It's probably covered up by a cloud. Nonetheless, well, one, someone's coming, so I'm just gonna go bike around. So I recorded a very, very long unscripted monologue, but as you can see here, I fast-forwarded all of it because honestly, no one here wants to hear what I was talking about. I just kind of rambled to a camera as I'm doing now, but without making sense until my camera died, and then I just went home. And I don't know why I wanted to get out so many thoughts that day, but if anyone actually wants to discuss the meaning of life, I don't know what I was talking about with me. I've already discussed it with the people who I want to discuss it with, so then I pulled out the zip ties to give my corset some structure. Instead of buying corset boning, I've seen a few people on YouTube use these, and I decided to try it. I traced the zip ties onto my fabric and stitched on either side, and then I slid the zip ties in. Once I was done with that, I sewed the 2 sides together but left the front open and also hemmed the bottom to make sure the boning didn't slide out. Back in my holiday PJs, I tried on the corset and I marked where I wanted to lace it. I kind of just stabbed at the markings, first with the needle, then with a pencil, and honestly, however I could, to be able to pull a thread through, which is definitely not the best way to do it, but this project was dragging on for a very long time at this point, so I just went with it. I think now's a good time to say that I want to go back and fix the corset at some point, because the straps are really poorly made. I'll elaborate on this more in the description if you're interested, but I just wanted to mention this here. The final part of this look was to make a jacket or overlayer of some sort, and I was inspired by these images that are flashing on the screen right now. I traced a t-shirt for this and I cut out these shapes. I don't really know how to describe them, but the ones on the left were for the back, the ones in the middle were for the front, and the sleeves were on the very right. To simplify what I did, I cut open the front and sewed it together with the back as well as over my shoulders. Then I attached some sleeves and I did something. I just kind of sewed stuff together until I got here.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to hem all of this and then put some sort of button so I can close it just here. And then I'm going to cut out a shape here. I don't know how to describe it, but you'll just see it. And I'm also going to hem this all like this, so it's deep V-neck. Oh, and I'm also going to hem the sleeves because these things are ridiculously long. And although this is a lot of fun to play around with, and I'm talking like this now, it's not very practical.
Alright, welcome to a horribly drawn animation, if you could even call it that, by yours truly. As mentioned previously, I needed some way to close the jacket, and I suffered through the process of attaching sew-on snaps. But because I have a giant brain, it took me 3 tries until I attached them correctly, and because I'm even smarter, the footage I recorded was really bad, so that's why this unfortunate drawing has graced the world.
So then after that fiasco with the buttons, I was going to give my old double bass away to one of my friends, who is my #1 subscriber, Donna and Mira. Please fight over this in the comments below because I want clout. But anyway, I was giving away my old double bass because I got a new one to my friend. So she and her dad came to pick it up, and then her dad's keys got stuck in the car, so then we had to wait for her mom. But then when her mom came, somehow I ended up in their car and we went to a park near us. So here's some random footage from that where I didn't really know what to do with this footage outside of this video, and since this happened in the general timeline of filming, here it is. I don't know what this is, and props to anyone who knows what I said because the audio was kind of weird.
Don't fall! It's a video! Oh my god, you should put this on your YouTube channel! Exactly. Please be careful. No. Come back. Get out, Miss Swamp. Yay! She made it home alive. Yay!
Okay, so ignore the really bad lighting and setup. I'm just here for a quick explanation. So I'm going to be getting ready for my French Revolution look, I guess. I'm not going to be doing any makeup because, one, I'm really bad at makeup. Like, you'd think that the hand-eye coordination I use for like sewing and art transfers into makeup as well, but it doesn't. I'm really bad at it, but whatever. And I also just don't have that much makeup, so I wouldn't even be able to recreate a look, and I don't even know what that look is supposed to look like because I don't know what makeup looked like back in the day. So I'm just going to be trying to do my hair. It's not going to be very historically accurate anyway. Nothing in this video is very historically accurate. It's only like halfway. Also, I'm pretty sure women did not have hair like I do because they had, from what I know, they had longer hair and then they put it in updos. So I'm just gonna put it in an updo, see where it goes. And lastly, I still have my old hair that I cut off. Don't ask why, I don't really know. So I curled it and I'm going to try and attach it here because I know sometimes women would have that thing where like they have an updo with like a little bit of hair here. So we're gonna see if that works. It might not.